Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the triumphant return of I for the Game. This is my first ever video blog, and I'm going to try and make it short and sweet because my mom is liable to bust in here at any moment and start yelling at me. So let's go ahead and get right down to it. I'm here to discuss with you all today the season opening matchup between the Denver Broncos and the Baltimore Ravens in what should be a scintillating playoff rematch that saw Raheem Moore blow a coverage that would eventually propel the Baltimore Ravens to their Super Bowl victory. Now, on paper, it's pretty easy to see why the odds makers in Vegas have the hometown Broncos as a 7.5 point favorite. I'm not sure if I've ever seen a defending champion open as such a big underdog, but if there's ever a season for it, this is it. And the off-season losses and additions from both sides will really tell the story. The Broncos have made some key off-season additions, including slot machine Wes Welker, along with the first running back taken off the board in the NFL draft, Monte Ball. The Broncos were also able to bolster their defensive line with first-round selection Sylvester Williams. Now, on the other side of the ball, the Ravens have had tremendous losses in the form of future Hall of Famers Ray Lewis and Ed Reed, along with Anquan Boldin and Dennis Pitta. The loss of Pitta in particular is huge for Joe Flacco because that's his favorite target in the short intermediate passing game as well as in the red zone. They were expected to rely on him heavily this year. So you can see on paper why the odds makers are thinking the way they are. And if you go a little bit deeper into it, you also see that last year the Broncos had an average margin of victory of over 11 points per game, which had to be one of the best in the NFL. Now, with all that said, it seems like I'm making the case for the Broncos to go ahead and cover that spread, but I'm actually going to try and convince you all that the Baltimore Ravens are going to cover, and here's a couple reasons why. For one, the Broncos are coming into week one a little bit banged up. They're going to have a couple guys down this week, and that includes potential Hall of Fame cornerback Champ Bailey, who, if he does play, is going to be extremely limited. They have also lost Von Miller to suspension, and they lost Elvis Dumervil actually to the Baltimore Ravens on the other side of the football. Now, the Ravens, while they lost a ton of talent over the offseason, they didn't just sit on their hands. They went out there and they replaced some guys. They brought in a talented guy in Chris Canty, as well as first round pick free safety Matt Elam, who they expect to replace Ed Reed. And then if you go a little bit further into the statistical analysis, you're going to see that if you take out the Broncos' divisional opponents, some of the worst teams in football, like the Raiders, the Chargers, and the Chiefs, their average margin of victory drops all the way down to 8.7 points per game. And then if you go even a little bit, if you dig a little bit deeper than that, you're going to see that the Broncos actually only played 4 teams that finished the year with winning records last year. And against those 4 teams, they lost 3 of those games, and they had an average margin of victory of 0.75 points, with the lone victory actually coming in Baltimore against the Ravens. So that's my case for the Baltimore Ravens. I think they're going to cover the spread. I believe that they're going to get a heavy dose of Ray Rice and Bernard Pierce. They're probably going to try and control the clock and make it a pretty close game and take a couple of play action deep shots to a guy like Torrey Smith, and that could be particularly dangerous because, for one, Champ Bailey, as I mentioned, may not play this week, and for 2, UCLA's Raheem Moore is still on the roster. So we're going to see if he learned anything this week. But that's my case for the Baltimore Ravens and why they're going to cover the spread. As usual, please leave comments. Let me know how you guys feel about this. And that's all for me. So I'm signing out. See you guys later.